Hey guys, brand new podcast. And the Tops Off World Tour is launching January 8th. Stockholm sold out. Limited tickets in Oslo. We've got a bunch of tickets in Germany. You'd think with the name Kreischer, I'd sell out immediately, right? It's like Gabriel Iglesias goes to South Texas and everyone's like, I gotta check this guy out. Bert Kreischer. Maybe if I did more. Anyway, I'll be in Europe until the end of January, and then we kick off the Tops Off U.S. leg of the tour, and that is in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where we have added a show in Williamsport. Hershey, Pennsylvania, TD Gardens. I know everyone's hitting me up saying that it's sold out and they can't get tickets. We will add seats. I hope we will add seats. I know we can add seats. And then we're off to Tampa and Orlando. I'm really, honestly, excited for my Tampa gig at the Amalie Center. If you're from Tampa, if you're in Tampa, come see me. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Tops Off World Tour. Today's podcast, let's just get to it. Today's podcast is with Natasha Leggero. She is one of the funniest people. Her and her husband, Moshe Kasher, are my favorite. That's one of my favorite couples, obviously, along with Tom and Christina. They made me say that. They're like, don't ever bring up other couples in comedy. We're the number one comedy couple. Rich and Bonnie suck. No, Moshe and Natasha are fucking hilarious. I've known Natasha for a while. I just had Moshe on Something's Burning, and I think I had both of them on the podcast a long time ago, and they were fucking awesome. And she just wrote a brand new book. It's called The World Deserves My Children. It's right here. You can get it. There's a link in our bio, so you can click on it and get it. It's a great Christmas present. If Christmas already happened, did Christmas already happen? It would have been a great Christmas present. It is right here. Go get it. Support her. She is fucking awesome. She is hilarious. Without further ado, my friend, stand-up comedian and author, Natasha Leggero.
I haven't been to your new place. I remember you had some this looks awesome.
Oh, thank you very much. The world deserves my children. What was can I tell you, I noticed my wife went through this, I feel like every time, I don't know the right way to say this, but Leanne thought, I'm going to become a billionaire. How many moms did you run into that were like, I have the next big billionaire mom idea?
What? None.
Are you serious?
What are you talking about? Hold on to her. So when she had a baby, she was like, I'm going to be a billionaire. I was like, I'm going to retire.
Really?
Well, kind of. I mean, I did write a book.
You wrote a fucking book. No, I remember.
What's her idea?
Well, she had ideas for things that would a bag that would hang on the
right.
Those. And there was I remember that energy being around every mom. And I was like, I wonder if it had something to do with hormones.
Oh, that's interesting. They're like, I'm going to. Well, because it is very degrading being a mom. So maybe it gets you out of it to try to fantasize that you could invent something.
Well, you figure if back in the day, is it easy to wrap your head around the fact that back in the day, a woman would go to the river and just give birth?
Is that easy for me to wrap my head around?
Having given birth, can you think of that and go, oh yeah, yeah. You see the videos of I don't know if you were watching House of Dragons or anything.
I don't know what that is.
Of course you don't.
Is that Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. It's a new one.
It's called House of Dragons.
Something.
Are you going to get hate mail because I don't know about this?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I don't like fantasy.
Really?
Or Marvel, or where people's hands become guns. I'm not interested in any of that.
Can I tell you?
Is this the wrong podcast?
No. I never liked. I was like, I'm not into imaginary stuff. I like
Me
realness.
neither.
I like the realness. But I also don't like horror. I have no interest in being scared. I have no interest in. I don't like suspense because I already know what's going to happen.
You know what's interesting though? Horror is the new comedy. That's the thing that people go out to see together. It used to be comedies.
Isn't it crazy to think that when we were kids, comedy was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They Meatballs or Caddyshack.
3 years ago.
Yeah, and now it's just horror. That's the three biggest movies right now are horror movies, and they always go, how do you think they're gonna save the comedy genre? I go, just start making them again.
Yeah.
When was the last time you pitched a movie?
I mean, I pitch movies. I pitch things a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, I turned one movie into a TV show and sold it.
What was that?
Well, I'm doing it right now.
Are you doing
Fox.
it right
Yes.
now for Fox?
Yes. Wait, what is this question? What is this
Wait,
line of questioning?
Because the basic comedies are pretty basic, whereas horror seems fairly basic as well. There's a chick in a well. That's the whole fucking movie. And then it's just like, it really is the device of, oh, look what was behind you, you know? And it's I mean, theoretically, comedy and horror are the same thing. It's all based on surprise, right?
Right. That's such a good point.
It's all based on surprise.
So it makes sense, but why has it taken over? Is it because you can't offend in a horror movie and comedy?
Oh, you're allowed to. That's amazing. You're allowed to completely offend in a horror movie, meaning you could go and have a horror guy just kill black people, like the guy that made the movie about the black guy, the Jordan Peele.
Nope.
No, not even Nope. The other one too, where they just kill black people.
Us.
Yeah, Us. Even the other one where they just get out. That's all he does is kill black people. That's all they do and in a weird way. If you made the joke about the premise of the movie in a comedy movie, people will get offended. But you can make a movie about, that's probably a broad stroke.
I see. So maybe we can get away with a little more, you think?
can get away with the most horrific. Theoretically, you can show a movie where they rape a woman and it's totally acceptable. They have TV shows.
There's not a lot of comedy rapes.
Well, I'm not going to answer that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Do you remember the one time I said to you, you're never going to remember this. I've brought this up to you like 3 times too, I think. You were with your brother and we were at the Improv. And I said, I feel like every woman I've ever dated has been raped. And you're like, I think that's just you. Do you remember?
I do not remember this. Is that really true?
Oh yeah, every woman. There's one woman that I don't know, but like my first girlfriend in college she told me about it. Was sexually assaulted when she was in high school. Leanne has talked about it. Leanne was sexually assaulted in college.
The numbers are staggering, and it is like I think 1 out of 3 women. And having I have a child who's 4-year-old girl, and it's really sad and scary. And I was just doing a benefit for sexual assault, and I had to follow a Cosby survivor. And she was telling the story that I didn't even know, that no one believed her. They had lawyers. And then one day, she was trying to campaign with other women. No one would listen to their case. And then she opened up her computer and Hannibal Buress was this viral video. And then finally someone called her and they're like, we want to gather all the people. And so it's like, without Hannibal doing that, these people just had no voice. And you forget, like, now at least we're starting to, take women more seriously, but.
I mean, it's crazy to think that that Hannibal was just fucking around.
I know.
And I mean,
he did a good thing. I'm sure he's annoyed at it because of his having that stigma. I mean, it's like he wasn't. But anyway, there
was a huge swath of at least hip hop guys who are like, there's a huge swath of people still out there that use the hashtag Free Bill Cosby.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He seems to be like the worst of them.
Well, I think there's as someone who's been drugged.
You've been drugged?
Yeah. I've been drugged a number of times. But
by your friends?
Oh, yeah. I was drugged by Ari. You knew that, right?
No. He drugged you?
Yeah.
What did he give you?
Molly.
Without you knowing?
Yeah, without me knowing.
What?
At my house in front of my kids. Yeah.
Did you forgive him?
Yeah, I have since forgiven him. He's got a new special. It's pretty good.
Oh wait, so you were on Molly, and then how long does it take? I'm sorry if you've tried this before, but how long does it take before you realize you're on drugs?
It took me about an hour, 40 minutes before I started going like something's off. Like I feel weird. I feel off.
And Ari's there like, oh, what do you think's going on? Do you want to watch TV? Or he's just like,
no, he's like, are you feeling weird? Are you feeling weird? Maybe you've been drugged. Maybe you've been drugged. All right, I'm going to say something and you can't get angry. I gave you Molly earlier.
Did he apologize?
He has since apologized profusely. Leanne won't speak to him. My daughters hate his guts. My daughters hate his guts.
No.
Oh yeah. It actually is fairly tragic because, as I'm sure you know, there is a sweet side to Ari that shows up there's a very sweet side, and my daughters, my wife all knew that sweet side, but then they saw this side, and it's very hard to forgive this side. And, I think.
Well, he didn't have to involve the kids.
Well, he didn't. He
didn't know.
I don't think he even thought about it. They were just.
Right.
What was supposed to happen was I was supposed to do a podcast with Ari and then go have dinner with my family and then go on the road. And
oh my God.
And instead I got slipped Molly. But my point was,
it's like Dahmer. Remember in that show they just he just keeps putting like some powder in Diet Coke?
Oh, it's
have you gotten drugged like that?
Then that's how he did it. He put it in my drink and then gave me my drink and then I drank it, and it is diabolical, meaning like.
Well, at least he didn't try to sexually take advantage of you.
I thought he raped me. She was like, "Hey, you got roofied and raped in the backyard." And I was like, "No, that's not. Wait, no,
raped."
Yeah, I was like, "Wait." Wait. You guys thought I was raped in the backyard? Like, no one said anything. You thought Ari fucked me in the backyard? Oh yeah, it was a shit show to explain because I also talked about it on Rogan, and obviously, that's one of I don't think anyone was aware of how big Rogan was at the time. I mean, maybe Joe was, but like my daughter's kids in her school knew about it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so was it funny at all?
I mean, personally, no. I mean, personally.
Like now it's like somewhat.
Now I lived through it. It's kind of like fucking crazy. But there is a feeling. So like my daughter's car got stolen yesterday, and having had a car stolen before, also, I identify with that feeling of being violated where you feel like someone went through your stuff. That's my thing. And they took my thing and they did things with my thing. And I obviously I'll never say that being just drugged and not sexually assaulted is similar, but being drugged like those girls were drugged by Cosby, there is like a fucking really weird, like Leanne said it the best, was like, now you're under my control. And that is what fucks me up. That's what really fucked me up for like a month and more so probably. Like I don't trust anybody. Like I don't take drinks from anybody anymore. I won't hit a joint with anybody. I'm like, I definitely.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's what there's like one's not better than the other. It's all horrible. But that feeling of like when
you lose control,
of like there's someone thinking like you're no longer a person. And it really, it fucked my head up. And I luckily with someone like Ari, which I don't think anyone had this with Bill Cosby, they couldn't go, "Hey, Bill, I was really fucked up what you did to me," And I think the fact that he was just like, didn't do it, don't know it, like that is not only like just psychotic, but that would be what would be infuriating. That's where I identify with those women where you go, at least I had the closure where I got to talk to Ari and go, that's really fucked up. And he was like, "I'm really sorry." And
well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably wants someone to do that to him.
He's had it happen.
He thinks it would be fun, probably.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have kids and, life is a party.
When was the last time you did drugs?
I did ayahuasca a couple weeks ago. Is that a big enough drug for you, Bert?
It's way, way bigger than I thought I was going to get. Wait, what? Wait, tell me about it. Have you always had those dimples?
I have.
Holy shit. Those are insane.
They might be getting more indented as I get older. Maybe they'll start getting wrinkles or something.
No, you have two on one cheek.
No, it's one.
No, it's almost.
Oh, that's a zit.
No.
It really is. Look, there's the dimple and then a pimple.
No. There's a little dimple in front.
Dimple.
Yeah,
Okay.
So wait, tell me about ayahuasca.
It was amazing. Have you done it?
No, I'm afraid to.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have that brain.
The brain? What do you think? You need to have a high IQ or something?
Well, you have to have.
Not that you don't have a high IQ, honey. You did get drugged by your friend, but
no, I don't have the brain that can just let go.
I see what you're saying. Yes, it was very intense. And I would say the physicalness, like the physical uncomfortability, like we got there and it was like, I thought we'd be outside and in nature.
Did Moshe do it too?
No, I did it with a girlfriend. I heard about a place. I thought it was going to be outside, in nature. And we're in this like converted garage in some weird part of town. And everyone's stacked in and you have like a little chair, like one of those like meditation chairs.
Oh.
And then on to your right is 2 little buckets. One is for your vomit and one is for your Kleenex.
So this is not you. You can't. This isn't the Natasha I know. Like,
no, this is part of my journey of like, my book, The World Deserves My Children. Is this on video?
Yeah.
My book is all about, trying to come back to like, who is the pre-motherhood Natasha? Because like, I feel like I was this cool woman with all this joie de vivre, and I would like go to Africa at the drop of a hat and go to Thailand and, go river rafting with no helmet. Like I was just not afraid of anything. And now having a baby, a child, a toddler now she is, I feel like all of this like fear and I feel very paralyzed, and I'm sure the pandemic didn't help. But, from not being a fearful person and then just coming to terms with who this person is, I think that I wanted something that could get me out of this kind of feeling of fear. And do you feel that with kids?
no, I actually, I felt less fear with having kids, but Leanne, when I met her, was this person just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
When, on her 30th birthday, we were out we camped at out in Catalina, and she swam out to a rock, climbed up a rock, climbed to the top of it and jumped off and egging me on. And that is not my brain.
Amazing.
And then we went camping again after we had Georgia, that same place. And I had fun. I jumped off the rock with her that first when she was 30. Then at 33, we went and did it, or 32. And I said, let's jump off the rock. She said, I don't want to.
I know.
And I went, really? And she goes, I don't know. There's something, I'm not that same person anymore. And it's really interesting you say that, because she was a wild person. I mean, I have a story about us having sex one time, and it's one of the, it's the person I look, I still love her, but like the person I fell in love with, she got on this wave runner, and she's like, follow me. And she just hauls ass in this lake in Alabama, and she starts flying down these little canals into this opening. And by the time I finally catch up to her, she's naked, swimming in this big opening, and it's raining, and she's just laying in the water. She's like, take your clothes off, get in. And I'm terrified. I'm like, what about alligators? What about snakes? Like, I grew up in Florida. Like, everything could kill you.
But you're still attracted. That's probably something that you're attracted to.
Oh, I was right. My heart was racing, and I was like, fuck. I jumped in the water, and we had the best sex we've had. That I could say top to bottom that we've ever had in our lives. It was amazing. And for 18 years, I had wanted to recreate that. Like, every time I got to the lake, I'd go, follow me. And I could never find the hole, and I could never find the thing. And then one day, this is probably like 3 years ago, we get on the wave runners, and I find the hole, and we're going together, and it's just organic. And I'm like, oh. So I go back to the thing, and we get to the thing, and I look at her, and I go, you want to jump in the water? And the look on her face was like, oh, you've been trying to do this for fucking 15 years. Like, she didn't even remember and she was like, honey, we're older. We're not as agile. We're overweight. Like, why ruin what was great? And with a memory of us just trying to stay afloat, and maybe being like out of breath and being like, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess. But like, that's
such a hard thing, because Moshe's the same way. He really wants to like, be young and stay in this zone. And, then that's another thing. We don't have children to stay the same. So,
whoa. Fuck me. Do you realize that should be on every condom, so that you realize what you're about to do? Because no one goes, that's the most accurate statement about having children, but you don't realize that's what you're doing. I kept saying to Leanne, I didn't sign up for this. Like, I didn't sign up for, not the responsibility. I don't mind the responsibility. The vulnerability fucked me. Fucked me.
And when you say vulnerability, because I really, the way I relate to that is like, everyone's like, oh, it's like the biggest love you'll ever have in your life. You're cracked open.
Fuck, that's not real.
But then it's like, love is also, you could replace fear.
It's fear.
With that word.
It was fear.
Yeah.
The first time, you remember the first time your kid got legit sick?
Yes.
And you were terrified, and you're like, oh my God. And you realized very acutely, oh, if I lose this thing, I'm fucked. Like I'm fucked forever. Like I'm not.
I have to kill myself or something.
Yeah, there's no bouncing back. The old Bert's gone forever. If something happens to this little thing, I remember Georgia's diaper was like falling off her. She had gotten some bad virus that Leanne knows the name of it, but like, and her diaper was falling off. We couldn't get her to hold down fluids. All I did was focus on getting fluids in that fucking kid's mouth. That's all. Like, I mean, it was like I was so OCD about it. I was so anxiety ridden, but the vulnerability of like taking her to third grade was the one that was tough for me. It was a new school, and I would, to this day, we talk about it. She brought me back to it was a new school, new neighborhood. It was our old house. She goes, Dad, come back to my bedroom. So I go back to her bedroom. And mind you, third grade, she didn't know anyone. These kids have known each other for 2 years. And by the way, that might be the thing that defines me. My biggest fear in the world is meeting new people. That social anxiety is why I do stand up. It's I live loud because of it. She throws on a fedora and she goes, looks cool. And I go, yeah, it looks really cool. And she goes, I knew you'd like it. I wasn't gonna run it past Mom. And I went, you're wearing that? And she was like, yeah, you said it looks cool. And in my head, I was like, don't stand out. Don't stick out. Like, don't, she looks like, and I was like, just show up and don't fucking just be like, hey guy, like, and she put the fedora on and then we rode bikes. And I remember she had to put her helmet on. I had the fedora and I was like, I'm just going to hold on to it. She'll forget about it. Everyone's lining up. We're standing outside the class. She didn't know anyone and she's nervous and she looks at me. She's like, Dad, fedora. And I'm like, God damn it. I was like, don't put the fucking fedora on. So I give her the fedora. She's like, do I look good? And I was like, don't. I got so mad at Leanne. I go, you fucking tricked me. I go, I didn't sign up for this. I was so riddled with anxiety and vulnerability and just fucked for the whole day. And then I go to pick her up and she doesn't have the fedora on. I go, where's the fedora? And she goes, are you kidding? Dad, everyone's wanted to wear my fedora today. And I was like, are you fucking serious? And she goes, I made so many friends because of that fedora. And I was like, oh my God, wow. Oh my God. And so I was like, you just gotta let go. But then, I mean, I don't know if you saw the picture of me dropping her off at college.
No, I have to see it.
It's so bad. But
see, you weren't able to let go. That's the same way I feel. And I feel like I'm this helicopter parent as well, which I did not think I would be, just in the sense of like trying to make sure she's safe at all times.
We didn't have kids what did you say?
Stay the same?
What the fuck? That is so true, but I didn't. So many people. This was me dropping her off at college.
No, wait, she's in college.
I know.
What?
Yeah, she's in college. Yeah.
No,
fucking don't get me started. It's where they grow up. I mean, everyone's they grow up so fast as that thing, and then all of a sudden one day you're like, you're hitting her up, and I mean, but it's different. It's good. It's good. Like it's good, but I had to let her go. What was, how quickly were these realizations to you? Because what's beautiful about someone like you as a comic, your brain is consistently thinking and feeling and by the way, we're getting back to this fucking ayahuasca journey. but when you started realizing, did you have any postpartum?
No.
Did you? What?
I mean, I had my own struggles. Like, I mean, maybe it's not that relatable, but like I didn't want to breastfeed and I was able to, but I was like, because when you breastfeed, this is what you don't understand. You can't leave your house without then pumping in a bathroom. So like, I remember I was at the arc light squeezing my tits into like a sink so I could like finish the Mr. Rogers documentary. And then I'm like, what is my life? Like, I'm not I need more mobility in my life, And then I asked the pediatrician if it was okay. And she was like, yeah, you did 3 months. That's good. And I asked my, the gynecologist and he was like, oh, honey, I wouldn't do any. He's like this gay guy. He's like, just feed them Similac. They'll be fine. So, I was like, that was a big struggle for me because there was a lot of pressure to keep breastfeeding.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not postpartum, but I think everyone has their own journey.
Yeah.
But no, I did not have depression. But
when was the first time you started realizing like, oh shit, I'm changing. I'm really changing.
You know what? It's my husband because he's like starting to notice that I'm afraid of things and I'm afraid of, I'm not that same like wild spirit like your wife, It's like, I think it's, and I always tell him, I'm like, it's physiological. Like, I really think something happens when you give birth or become a mom, however it happens. And you're just kind of like hardwired in this new way that kind of goes counter to, you know, being this like fun loving woman who goes to Paris and smokes cigarettes.
That, I mean, by the way, that kind, I mean, it would really suck to lose that.
I know. And I
it's
don't know
such
how
a-
to get it back. So I was like, maybe a heavy drug could help.
So what was wait, your child right now is 4?
Mm-hmm.
And so, so tell me about at what point did you talk to Moshe about it?
Oh yeah. He was like, can you go do that soon?
Really?
He was like, I think you need to go do that.
He's one of the most, I have to say this, he's one of the funniest human beings ever. I just was talking to him about him with someone, maybe, I think it was Tom. Actually, it was Tom.
Oh, he worked on your show, right?
What?
He just did something.
Yeah, we just did Something's Burning. And we were talking about Moshe Parallel. It's on the episode of Two Bears This Week. And he is the funniest fucking human being, but he also is a bizarre guy in the fact that he is sober, but still goes to Burning Man. You know, he actually does live a very full life, surfs, all the stuff he does. He's very active.
Has
loves to
way
camp.
Too many hobbies.
He seems like a guy that should be drinking IPAs. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe that's why he just keeps collecting hobbies.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I haven't gotten any new hobbies since I had a baby, you know? It's like I don't have, but he makes the time for it.
Yeah.
So I do admire that. And, you know, I interview him in the book. And one thing he taught me that I didn't really know was that like his job, he said, because we have all these arguments about like, we'll go camping. And he's like, I want her to experience the fire. So he'll move the pack and play like closer to the campfire. I'm like, it's flammable. Let's move it back.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll go back and forth.
Oh, a burned baby? Oh
but
my
he's
God.
like, I want her to be really experiencing like, you know, and he's like, my job is the chief fun officer. That's my job as dad. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting, I guess. Like, I'm glad I have that. And even my daughter, she was like, Mommy, thanks for finding me the best dad ever. Like, she's like very, and I really was like, not someone who thought they were going to breed, you know? And then when I met Moshe, I was like, okay, I feel like he could fertilize one of my eggs. And I deemed him worthy, and I'm glad I did. And yes, he's very smart. He's a great dad, but that really is like something we butt heads about because he still wants me to be like this crazy person who wants to do all, you know, anything. And I'm kind of like very focused on her safety at all times.
Well, yeah.
Which
I was like that. Leanne was a little more like, let them drive the wave runners. And I only say this because it only really happens, if we're going to really get into the weeds, it only really happens when we're around her family. And she becomes a little more adventurous because there's a weird thing.
Maybe it's from her childhood or something.
It's, I mean, I'd be diving into therapy shit, but it's like she's only spanked one of our children once.
You're not supposed to spank kids anymore.
Yeah, no shit. It was a big issue. It was a big issue because it was a while back. It was maybe 10 years ago. And Isla, I mean, if anyone deserved to get spanked, it was Isla at this moment. We were at the lake. And this was my issue. We were at the lake. Her aunts had bought the furniture for the lake. Everyone chipped in for this lake house, right? So everyone had a little bit of things that they owned in this lake house.
Cute.
And the aunts bought the couches, and Isla got out of the lake in her bathing suit and was jumping on the couch.
And she got spanked?
It gets worse. And they go, Isla, stop jumping on them couches. And she just keeps jumping. And they're like, Isla, you will listen to me, young lady. You stop jumping on those couches. And she's still jumping on the couches. And then they came over and they said, Isla, you will get off right now and do not disrespect our furniture. And Isla's off the couch. She looks at one of her aunts, turns and spits on the couch.
Whoa.
And Leanne took her into the bed. And I think someone was hitting that kid. And I think
How
Leanne,
old was she at the time?
probably 6, maybe 7.
Whoa.
And so Leanne spit on the couch.
I feel like my daughter would do that.
Yeah. Oh, it was. And
And what do you do?
Alice's been
besides
hit twice. My dad spanked her one time, but like I smacked her ass because she was bothering him or whatever. And both times I was like, I don't know, I'm on your team. But we had a big fight about it because I said, I think you only spanked her because you were around your family. Like if you weren't around my family, I don't think you would have spanked her. Like, and I would never spank a child but I'm also 200 pounds bigger than her, and I don't feel like that's fair.
But we were all spanked.
I was spanked. I was slapped.
My mouth was washed out with soap. We had a big silver piece of wood that said paddle on it, and my mom would like whack us with it. I mean,
we had a kitchen spoon.
Ooh, that sounds hard.
Yeah, kitchen spoon was a legit threat. And then one day I broke the spoon over my knee.
What do you think of all of this new parenting style that's just like acknowledge the child, make sure that they, you have to really hear them, like I have a friend and her kid was about to hit the dog with like a wrench and she ran in and she goes, "You're so good at building, but we must be careful with the dog." So it's like this, like a positive jolt before you ever reprimand them is like the new thing, I guess. And like, it's so counter to what we were taught.
It was not how I was raised.
No one was raised that way. But now it's all about, what's it called? Not acknowledging. It's like just making sure that they're seen and heard and all of and everything's validated. You must validate all of their feelings at all times.
I was not a great, Leanne says I shit on my parenting really aggressively, but I'm pretty honest with my lack, where I lacked as a parent. I lacked patience. I still lack patience. I had to learn when Georgia was in high school, we had a big headbutt scenario. And what I was doing was she was fucking up. And then I was meeting her fuck up with energy up here. So, and then I realized, well, this is the payout for anything. So there's no payoff for her to be honest because I'm going here. And so she might as well lie and do anything and really be bad because ultimately she's seen as bad as it gets and she knows that's where it's going. I would scream and fucking, not scream, but like raise my voice and try to like, I remember saying one time, I need to know she's hearing me. So I need to see it in her eyes. So I would try to find the energy to make that realization. And I realized in this room that that's not the right way to parent, that empathy and getting them to be honest with you and open with you about things was the right way to parent. And I didn't do that for all of the pandemic, or at least the last year of the pandemic.
Well, I mean, you do what you can. And I think as long as you're loving,
I was, well, at the time, I wasn't even fucking loving at the time.
But they do say now that if you raise your voice, it's showing your kids that you've lost control.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's all I did. So wait, yeah, I've watched parenting. It's fun to watch parenting with like you and Moshe will really enjoy when your daughter's like 10 or 12 and you go to another friend's house and see their parenting and you watch them just shit show it all over the living room and you guys look at each other like, whoa,
we're killing it.
I remember my sister, we had a conversation with her today. She is a much better parent today than she was when she first got her son. But he, in order to calm him down if he was having a temper tantrum, they would sing him happy birthday and put a cake out and light a candle.
What?
Me and my wife were like, what the fuck are we watching? They'd be like, but they do it in this
They're
panic,
like, it calms him down.
in like a panic,
That
like
is
almost in a
hilarious.
futuristic movie where like, do you remember, okay, this is such a stretch. Do you remember the Twilight Zone movie?
Yes.
Do you remember the little boy that was in the house that had magic powers and everyone was terrified of him? And they were like, But they go, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. And me and Leanne are like, what the fuck are they doing? And I pull my sister aside. I go, I think you're fucking up your kid. Like, you can't just pretend it's his birthday every time he gets upset.
Oh my God. But I mean, it really does come back to the root of the problem, because Moshe says, and he does an impression of me when something is wrong with our kid. He said, I just say, do you want an ice cream sundae? So I think that like her feeling, that's my problem. And maybe the woman got the man on board for this, your sister, because it's like, I don't want her to feel pain.
Oh.
I don't want her to be uncomfortable. I don't, we're sitting in a hot tub and she's like, I want that seat. I'm like, okay. And then Moshe will be like, why are you letting her have your seat? I'm like, I don't care which seat I have. And he's like, no, but you're teaching her she's going to be an asshole. Like, how do we make her not become an asshole? And I'm like, well, I just want her to be happy. Yeah. And so now I'm trying to really, almost as a practice, say no to her. And it's so hard. Oh, yeah. Because I watched that Amy Winehouse documentary, and the one thing the mom said that I'll never forget. She's like, I could never say no to Amy. And I'm like, oh. So that's what happens if you just always let your kid do. Because my daughter is like, I'm sure Georgia and Isla are the same way. It's just like, please. No, I'm like, no, 5 more minutes. 6, please. Yeah. I'm like, no, please, Mom. And then she'll bat her eyelashes, and then she'll just be like, please, Pinky, promise. I love you so much. And it's like so easy to just be like, okay, fine. Yeah. Because it doesn't really affect me. But like, it's very challenging.
Oh, I mean, Georgia and I always had, Georgia's a very bizarre human being in that she was super dialed into things that like emotion and connection. She was always setting rules for herself.
Interesting.
I remember her saying, one time we're like, hey, we're going to dinner over at Tom and Sandy's. And she's like, Dad, not tonight. And I go, what? And she goes, let's just stay home. I got homework to do. Just tell them we're not going. And I was like, you're in fucking 4th grade. I'm going to my friend's house and you're coming with me. And she goes, actually, I'm not. I have homework to do. And I think that's more important. I'm like, what the fuck? I remember going, what the fuck's wrong with my child?
So what do you do then? Do you let her stay home and do her homework?
No, we just ended up not going because we're like, Leanne's like, she got homework. Like, you can't.
It is a manipulation from her though, in a way, because she's like, I have homework.
Oh, she has always been someone who's like, she's always set boundaries. She knows how to set boundaries. Isla, on the other hand, has no boundaries. And I don't know if it's interesting. Do you think you'll have another child?
No. Oh. Definitely not. I love the experience and I love her, and I don't want another kid because what if it's bad?
That's what Leanne had Georgia and was like, I can do this again. Had Isla and was like, I will never do this again. And literally Isla broke Leanne because Isla just a willful fucking spur. Like I remember one time they were fighting, and this defines Isla. I remember one time her and Georgia got into a physical confrontation and they were beating the shit out of each other. I pulled them apart and I sat them in the kitchen, and I saw our old house, and I said, this is ridiculous. I go, you guys are sisters. One day Mom and I aren't going to be here, and it's just going to be you two. And you will need to trust each other, love each other, and help each other. I said, there is only one thing that happens right now, ladies. Georgia, what do you have to say to your sister? So Isla goes, Isla, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. And I go, Isla, what do you have to say to Georgia? And she goes, you're forgiven. And I went, no, Isla. And she goes, I'm forgiving her. And I was like, no. And she got into a fight with Leanne one time. Isla got into a fight with Leanne. I go, go into the bed, into the closet, and apologize to your mother. And she looks at me, maybe 4th grade, 5th grade. She goes, if I do that, I lose.
Whoa.
And I was like, hold on, no one's losing in this. She goes, she'll see weakness.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. But Isla and I can get her to laugh when she's as mad as she ever is. I can connect with her and turn her and get her out of it immediately for some reason. And I cannot do that with Georgia. I cannot.
Wow. I mean, how are we supposed to know what to say to these kids?
Well, it's funny you say that because my instinct was always the same as you say. Like, yeah, I don't, whatever gets her to stop crying. I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. I think that's my instinct with everything. I think that's how I run through my life. Is like
you just throw money at things.
I mean, fucking. I just want everyone to be happy, and so, but you're right. It doesn't serve the child. You need your child to have to not get what they want.
And an only child, it's even harder because I'm like, do you want almond milk? Do you want oat milk? Do you want, what kind of nut milk do you want? Well, why are you crying? And I'm brushing her hair and Moshe's putting on her shoes and we're like, and we're just like coddling her in a way. And I don't really know how to, because, I think of my grandma who had like 7 kids and, would get on a train from New Orleans to Chicago with 7, infants or whatever, toddlers and infants. And they just, I don't think they had time to like be nervous or scared or, but and the kids were all kind of fending for themselves. But now having 1 kid and 2 doting older parents, I don't know, like that's challenging.
Do you see yourself as an older parent?
Well, I mean, my mom was 23 when she had me.
Yeah, my parents were in their 20s.
I was 43 when I had my kid. So
really?
So 20 years older.
That's I guess so. But I because Tom and Christina are that age, or that's when they started having kids, I think. Or maybe a little bit. Maybe she was 40, he was 38 or 37. And I look at it and I'm jealous because you know so much more about who you are and you have so much more insight. You're so much more developed and I think financially you have an opportunity to provide and spend more time with your kids. I didn't have any. I was a broke dad, so I was angry a lot. Yeah, I was broke. I mean, I say broke. I headlined improvs. I would make $1,500. I remember one year. This is when the girls were both still babies. I was going to make $100,000 on bookings. I had like 30 dates, and it came out to 100,000. I did the math, and I was like 100,000. And Leanne was like, "Not really." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Well, you got to remember, we only keep half of that, so really you're making 50 grand." And I went, "Huh?" And it just ruined. And I was like, "Motherfucker, I'm poor again." I thought I was rich for a second, but yeah, like I distinctly remember going to Toys R Us during Christmas and seeing parents put presents in their cart without care, and looking at Leanne going, "Can we afford this?" If there's ever been a moment where my wife said I married the wrong person, it was every Christmas Eve. Every Christmas Eve, I would have anxiety that we didn't get them enough. And Leanne's someone, there's like, you just need like 3 good presents. And I was like, no. It's got to look like a smorgasbord. It's got to look like Daddy Arbucks. Is that his name? Daddy
Warbucks?
Daddy Warbucks. It's got to look like that's the shock and awe is what you want. And we would get into a fight every single Christmas Eve I'm not even joking. I mean, every Christmas Eve. It doesn't happen now because the girls are older, but knockdown, drag out.
I'm sorry. That's hard. And I think, I don't know what it is for men. Men can pretty much have a family whenever the fuck they want to. But for women, just the ability to be able to freeze your eggs now is like a whole new world and really opens up your life. You can spend literally 2 extra decades. Your peak earning years, you don't have to now spend as a broke mom. And also you get to have fun.
Yeah.
Fun in your 20s, earn in your 30s and 40s, and then you can have kids. And then you can also have money to hopefully have someone help you, when you need a babysitter or a nanny, or, you can still have your free time. And I think that, the pandemic kind of fucked that up though, because I was spending way more time with my kid than I had ever planned. I was definitely planning on outsourcing some of that, but I'm so glad it happened. Because we're so close now. It wasn't really, I was just like, I've got women. That's the thing too. I talk about in the book, like, you're embarrassed to say you have a nanny, but it's like, well, how are women supposed to have a career? You can't, I'm assuming that Leanne was pretty dedicated to your kids.
No. Leanne worked. Leanne was our breadwinner, really.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I started when I was 39. So I guess You
started comedy at 39?
No.
Oh.
I started when I was 26. When I was 37, on my 37th birthday, I got Bert the Conqueror. And I was making enough money for us to get by and everything. But she worked she ran the apartment complex 3 apartment complexes, and we lived in one. So we were on our rent for free, and then she made money. But she had a nanny. She had 3 different ones throughout the time that we, maybe 4 total, but always had nannies to kind of watch the kids on Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if I was on the road to help her, and Monday because I flew in. So one of my fun. I mean, we had the coolest fucking nannies. They were awesome, and I mean, by the end, they were all friends. So by the end, all 3 nannies would be at the house on Monday for Monday Night Football. We'd start. I was so much fun. I follow all of them still on Instagram, and they were all beautiful. They were all gorgeous. They were.
I'm not loving this story.
They were funny shit. They were. I remember.
He's like, oh, all the nannies would come over. Monday Night Football. They're super hot.
They were awesome, and they were all friends. And we would watch Monday Night Football, and then Leanne would come home on Monday night, and we'd have, and they'd all eat dinner with us, and not every night, but a couple times. And the girls still are close with them.
That's awesome, and you need that, and it is very hard to do everything on your own. But
our hottest nanny was a shit show.
Really. Was she trying to be an actress or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And she would just call up and be like, "Yeah, I'm not making it in today." And Leanne's like, "That's not how this works. You make it in every day. That's how jobs work." She was like, I'm just letting you know I'm not." And then Leanne's like, "Cool, I have no nanny." And then Leanne's like, "Well, you're fired then." She's like, "For skipping one day?" And Leanne's like, "Yeah." And even I was like, "Leanne, I mean, she was pretty gorgeous."
Well, I mean, I don't understand why the fact that she's gorgeous makes her able to skip days.
Look, I would have overlooked it.
That's a funny idea to be like, I'm just so hot. I can't come in today.
Well, I think being hot when you're a female, I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something like this for men. I don't know, but I think you get so many passes in life that I can only say from the other side. Like Leanne had a really, really hot friend, and then she started aging out of her beauty. She was a model, and she's not anymore, and she gained some weight, but she still believed she had always been born with these superpowers of being beautiful. And I watched her one time try to get a drink at a bar, and the bartender was looking past her and through her. And I
hate this story.
And I witnessed it, and I went, "Oh, this is so interesting. She still has her superpowers." Where she's like, it was like watching Superman get locked out of his house. He's like, "The fuck," and trying to do the eyes, and the guy's like, "Nah, not you, neck," because that's the way beauty works. I mean, it just fucking goes away, you know.
Do you think it always goes away? Don't you think you can have style and charisma and I mean, there's definitely old women who are beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I mean, there's men who don't think women are beautiful past 35, probably.
Yeah, they think those guys are broken. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, don't you? I don't know.
No, say it. I like this conversation a lot because I always joke about Leanne getting older, but I think she got prettier the older she got. For me. Now, I mean, granted, if you see a picture of her younger, I think everyone's going to go, "Oh, she was beautiful." But I think she got prettier the older she got. And I really think her face almost leaned out the older she got. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
It does, Bert.
It doesn't sound like a compliment.
You're like, she just got really gaunt, in older age. And
but I don't want her to get I would never want her to get work done. I like what she looks like.
Okay. I'm glad for that.
And it's funny when we first started dating, I remember saying to her, I find a lot of women that are older attractive. Susan Sarandon is one of the most beautiful women.
Okay, you think she's beautiful?
I think she's gorgeous. Yeah.
But isn't she in her 70s?
Yeah. Wait.
So then she hasn't lost her beauty.
No. I'm talking about a bartender with a chick.
Okay, but
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about a bartender with a chick.
But that woman, did she, you said she gained weight, your friend, and she doesn't have her superpowers anymore.
I can show you a picture of her if you want to see what she looks like.
But that can also happen just from motherhood or from, it doesn't necessarily have to be age-based.
It's so fucking hot. It doesn't. There's a lot, but.
She is hot for sure.
Yeah, she is fucking gorgeous. She is gorgeous.
You are looking at her tits, but.
By the way, I definitely am. I definitely am. By the way, Julianne Moore, fucking gorgeous.
I mean, these are A-list celebrities. It's not like it's that attainable, but I do think that not to be very cliche, but like you can still exude your beauty and your power. And that's why I am so attracted to Glamour, because Glamour isn't really based on age.
What define that?
Glamour, it's like, it's an elevated style, I suppose. Like, it's it gives the aura of something maybe a little more sparkly than.
I love this conversation. I love
than the average.
Funny. I'll say this: I don't like Leanne with makeup on.
Interesting.
At all. It bothers me.
But some women, it's like you really have to kind of work yourself. Like what looks best on you. I
like her with like, I mean, if she
hollows in her cheeks to look even more gaunt for you? Do you like that? I mean, but don't you look at her and she's the mother of your children. She probably it's like you guys are, it's like she's always going to be your woman.
Yeah.
She's beautiful to you.
Yeah, to me.
And she's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, yeah.
I mean, I think we need to make an effort to not try to objectify women so much.
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, how about this? I think it's great not to objectify women. However, I think there is as a dude who I witnessed in Hollywood, I'm going to try to think the right way to say this. Do you remember when you were not, it's hard for you because you've always been beautiful your whole life. I mean, are you
going to tell me that I'm not beautiful anymore?
No,
I don't think I can take that right now.
I'm trying to talk about at the
He's like,
store.
listen, I got to tell you.
No.
It's happening.
No. I'm trying to say this.
Is now a pimple.
You'll never, it's difficult for you to, this is a weird thing to say. It's difficult for you to empathize with, say, ex-comedian, right? Meaning when you went over to the store for the first time, even though you weren't talented,
the comedy store?
When you just started, and say when you walked in.
Well, I don't agree that people aren't talented when they just started. They're just not like seasoned. Even though you weren't seasoned, you were very talented, right? You're right.
And so was I, but I wasn't seasoned. But I can identify from a guy who I didn't have any reason to look at me. I'm trying to explain it this way, in that I remember not being successful and being at the store and watching people look past me, watching people look through me.
Mm-hmm.
And that energy is something that I think a lot of people in this world identify with, is watching people look through you.
I mean, of course I've felt that. I'm 4'11". So it's like my whole life I've been like, people don't even see me physically because I'm like, they're like next in line. Like they're like, can I help you, sir? And I'll be like, hello, I'm right here. Yeah. Like people will, so I do think that that's a bad feeling. That
it's
the
horrific.
Feeling of being overlooked is really rough.
And I'll say this: I'm trying to make this into a statement, and it's going to be hard for me to sell to you. But like, I remember that feeling. Of being. I was 42, 43. I had my time on Travel Channel, and I would go to the hallway in the store. And I just had nothing anyone needed. I couldn't provide anything for anyone. I couldn't take you on tour. I was doing okay, but
I remember seeing you on an airplane. You were like on a TV show. I didn't even know anyone on a TV show. You were successful.
But I got fired from the TV show. I was off it. Yeah, I got pulled off the Funny or Die tour. I wasn't passed at the store, so I would sit at 42, 43. I would sit, and I would distinctly remember watching people look through me or past me or over my shoulder. And I remember having empathy. I call it like survivor's remorse, but I remember having empathy for watching young comics that were, say, overweight or bald or unattractive, or just kind of looked like maybe they were a talented comic, but they didn't have they didn't have like the sparkle that, say, like a young, good looking male comic with bravado had. And I remember empathizing with them and seeing that, because that's what I was. I walked out of the store one time in dad jeans without cool sneakers on, shirtless, with a beer in my hand. And I remember walking out to a loud silence of like, oh, fuck. What if this isn't funny one day? Like, what if I'm a loser right now? Now, I will say that I think, and this is where the internet is full of those men. those men feel invisible in this world. And what I will say to you is that comment about that beautiful woman that my wife was friends with, that was a model, gained weight and got older.
Now can't even get a vodka tonic at the bar.
Yeah. And I remember going, I wanted to be like, just so you know, this little bit of anger you're having that no one's making eye contact with you, that's people's real existence. Like, that's the average person's real existence, is like, but we just live in it.
Well, we also know some of the most charismatic people in the world.
100%.
So it's kind of hard. And also it's like, yeah, then you go to you go to a red carpet event and nobody, I'm sure there's plenty of places you can still go where people are like, excuse me, I don't want to look at you,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I remember identifying with that feeling. And I wanted to say to her, like, just so you know, I know you're outraged that the bartenders keeps looking past you. That's what happens to everyone.
Like, I hope you didn't say
I
that.
didn't. The woman hated my
Listen, you
guts.
lost your looks. So what do we do? What can you do?
I really think that's what's going on when you talk about the toxicity that is online, is people, the average person's really unhappy.
They're just kind of fed up with it.
And yeah, and they're not being heard, and they're living like almost like a shadow existence life. By the way, and I'm not saying the average person, but I'm saying a big swath of America, and just feels underrepresented in every respect. And I think sometimes I want to use a dude in this, but like, because it's not fair to just say women are beautiful, but that's what I'm attracted to. So I have a hard time thinking of a man in this moment. But it's like I feel like sometimes they feel like maybe Anne Hathaway doesn't know what their plight is like. Does that make sense? And so, I mean, you could say Matthew McConaughey, but I think in a weird way, men idolize him and want to, and even the ugly fat guy that, I want to be like that, So it's kind of, I don't know. I just know that I've definitely felt like that. And I remember identifying with it, and still to this day, my favorite comics are the ones when I walk in the store, the ones that everyone's not saying hi to. That's where I go, because I go, oh, I've been that guy a lot.
Yeah, it's hard. My plan is to just get a nice pair of tinted sunglasses, some turtlenecks, some hats.
You've always been,
and just do my thing.
No, but you've always been extremely, like, even when I was in that thing, you were always very sweet. Like, you were always very acknowledgeable. You were never someone that looked past people.
Oh, thank you.
But wait, let's get to ayahuasca.
Okay, so I get there. There's 2 spit buckets to the right, one for Kleenex, one for vomit. And then on the other side of me are 2 spit buckets. That's the person next to me's vomit bucket and Kleenex bucket. And what I wasn't really prepared for was like, then all of a sudden they're playing music. You've got it's all a very solitary thing. So you have your eye mask on. And then all of a sudden you just hear across the room a man like, and like, because men vomit in like a way more intense way. Like, I was just like very cute, just like. Wait. I mean, I definitely.
Wait, are you doing this on stage?
No.
This is already.
I haven't really talked about this.
This is so great. I vomit very cute.
Well, I do. I mean, like, I remember once Chelsea Handler took me on a vacation, and they were all laughing because like I got very seasick off the boat, and I just like very elegantly just took a towel, vomited over the boat, and then just like got the towel and put it in the bag. But yeah, that really got me out of it. So there's a physical uncomfortableness that was like really hard for me to get past.
And you're in a dude's garage?
Yeah.
This is an escape from who I think people think you are. Because I would not imagine you wanting to go hang out with other people in the garage and throw up.
I'm trying to find out how to be glamorous again, though. So I gotta,
was this the part of the journey?
Well, I think that ayahuasca, it's definitely not a perfect drug because of the vomit, but it was pretty amazing. And we did it 3 times the first night, and then we spent the night and did it 3 times the next day. I didn't do the last one because I felt like I kind of got out of it what I wanted. I was getting a lot of annoying, like, everyone had a different experience, like, because you all talked about your experience and people were having extremely deep experiences. Like, one woman was like, because everyone had to share, and she was like, I was at the wall and this woman was turning Jews in, And she was like time traveling. And she's like, this woman was turning Jews in. And then after she turned the Jews in, she came up to me and was really upset and was asking me for forgiveness. And the woman's like, and I always wanted to be able to clean people's souls. So this woman's experience was that she was like cleaning people's souls who were turning Jews in Germany. Yeah, it was there was just a lot of like people were doing their own crazy things.
As a natural cynic, as every comic is, there's got to be a party that are rolling your eyes just going like, what the fuck?
But I mean, how could you make that up? Like that was her experience. Meanwhile, mine is like, you got to sell your house. Like mine was like an annoying to-do list. And so that kept happening. So the first time I took it, because you took it 3 times the first day, there was like, I saw this like.
Does it taste good?
No.
Okay.
It's like a
and
dirt
they give
taste.
you in like a. I'm imagining. I always thought you get a wooden bowl to drink it out of.
It was just like a little paper cup. But I mean, we're in the valley at this point. So
you have to be doing this as a fucking bit.
So basically, the first time I took it, they must have given me like a large dose because I saw this like this little light and this woman was like trying to motion me in and I was afraid. And so I didn't really go there. So a lot of my things were like to-do lists, things I had to do. So then the second time I took it on the first day.
So wait, you had an option to go into the light and you're like, I'm going to be out here. Hold on 1 second.
I was just afraid.
But in the hallucination, you could control it a tad bit?
I could control it by not going in, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. Like, obviously the woman who was helping the Nazis, or, she went in. So then the second time they gave it to me, I didn't feel anything. And I think they gave me less. And then the third time it was less. So we spent the night. And then the next morning I was like, you know what? Can I have the same amount you gave me the first time? Because I was looking for that little light again with the woman. And so
when they give you less, is it like it's not a fun trip, or is it just like still to-do lists?
There's a lot of vomiting happening around you. It's that kind of thing. Like I had some realizations. I definitely had something, there was a lot happening, but it wasn't like that thing. So then when I came back the next morning, we spent the night there, but I got that.
Spent the night in beds or in sleeping bags?
We just brought our own sleeping bags in some weird person's house. But
and you're staying in this person's house?
Yes, with like 30 other people. But I was with a girlfriend.
And how, this is like a network note, but how diverse is the group? Is it all white people?
Not only was it all white people, it was, I would say 80% women, 85% women.
Whoa.
So that was nice.
And do you think it's because they're all getting older?
No.
I'm joking.
No. And my thing doesn't have to do with age necessarily.
I was joking based on my earlier story. All right, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So then the next day, I got the vision again. I got the little circle motioning in, and they were like, just so you know, I heard this thing like, it's not going to be all good. And then I was like even more scared because then I'm like, okay, now they've told me. I knew I was afraid of it for some reason.
In the hallucination, that lady is like, come on in, but
just so you know, it's going to be bad, or some of it is some bad part. So anyway.
And you went in anyway?
I went in anyway. I got some information, but then I was kind of getting bogged down by the lists of things to do. And so then I you have to be very intentional about it. So then the last time I did it, then that was the second day. This was my last one. He said, put an intention for yourself. And I said, what am I besides comedy, mother, woman, wife, whatever I look like? What am I?
That's a very intentional question.
Because I knew the drug was like so intense, and that's, people were having these like, everyone kept talking about God, and I hadn't really like experienced God. So I was like, I could handle that. Like, what am I? And I mean, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but it was just an extremely clear vision, and everything started to make sense in this way that it never had before. And I was like, oh, and that has to do with it. And that has to do with it. And all of the experiences that happened in my life that were very odd, like the time that I, had a lucid dream, and the time that I had that vision, and like anything, it all kind of culminated in this this vision. And so then I didn't take it the last time that we were supposed to.
So you got this like epiphany.
Yes.
And then you were like, hey, I'm cool with my epiphany.
Yeah. And it's still staying with me, and it's been about 2 or 3 weeks.
Really?
But the weird thing about ayahuasca is so many of the people there were on their like 10th time there or 20th time there. So I'm like, is this addictive to get this feeling again?
Oh,
I don't know.
Because the feeling is it a sense of like, is it a...
My friend said it best. He said, but then, all right. So he said, it's the difference between reading the Bible and being Noah. It's a very intense statement, but like,
yeah.
But that's how he was able to process it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helped. I don't know how good I am at articulating it yet, because I just had the experience, and I don't know how much of it to take seriously, or like, do I sell my house? It was like the guy in charge did say, don't do anything crazy in the next 36 hours. After you do it, because people, I think, like, they take away your phone, they take away your keys, because I think that people can really freak out on it.
Really?
It only happened to one girl during our thing.
Is that where she just fucking wild out?
She just started screaming, and she was like, "Ow, ow," like making these weird noise on her back. And apparently she does it every October. And when she was describing her experience, I think she was like from Spain or something, but she was just like, I do this every October, and I don't know what happened. This was reality, and I was outside of reality. Like, she like had this like very clear thing of being outside of reality.
Wow.
So, and then I was sitting in between a mother and daughter doing it together, and the 70-year-old mother, like, at one point came up to her daughter, and they were both bawling, and she was just like telling her how much her dad is still alive, and everything that he ever said to her is still a real thing. Like, it was just like this extremely intense experience, like me, because you had assigned seats, so I wasn't sitting next to my friend.
Oh, you couldn't switch?
Well, I think they intentionally wanted you next to people who had done it before, or like,
they line you up next to like a pro.
Yeah, exactly. So that was really like, there was just like overhearing all of this intense, and people having these like extremely deep and moving experiences. But anyway, the point is, it was definitely cool, and I highly recommend it.
Did you have like a drink or a cigarette?
No.
So you
hadn't really eaten, because you don't want to vomit. Like, I had like a smoothie, because you could stop eating at 1 p.m. So at 1 p.m. I had a smoothie, and I literally vomited up the whole thing in my trip. Yeah. So it's like, you're not really eating, or, you're kind of on a, did I have a cigarette? Well,
like, I don't know. Like,
sounds nice.
Well, I mean, I feel like after an ayahuasca trip, when you come out, you'd be like, I need a fucking cigarette or like a beer or something.
Well, you're actually not supposed to drink or do drugs like 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after.
It's so weird that's a drug, but you're not. It's almost like when you hear about, you're not going to get this analogy, but when you hear about like dominatrixes and BDSM culture, and they're like, it's not about sex, and you're like, but it's kind of like, that's why you do it, right? And they're like, no, it's not about having an orgasm, it's about control, and it's more like a therapy. And you're like, are we just gonna pretend that we're all gonna agree on that? Okay, is that the thing we do so that we can see it again? Because it is drugs, but they're like, hey, in a weird way, they're like, you can't use drugs or anything.
Well, the woman told me ayahuasca is a jealous mistress, and so she gets jealous of weed. So she might not give you. I mean, these are hippies,
because they want, yeah.
It might take away, and I think I do smoke pot, so maybe that's why I didn't feel it. The half the times I took it, I kind of needed a large dose.
Yeah.
But I've also tried to take mushrooms before and nothing happened. I've tried to take acid and nothing happened. So that is something that I've heard other people talk about, where it just doesn't work on you.
Oh.
I don't know why.
That's interesting.
I'm sure it's a dosage issue.
Alcohol is not working on me right now.
Ooh, I'm sorry. You know what that means.
I gotta quit drinking.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm
get
not,
some cinnamon toothpicks, honey.
Yeah, something. I'm not enjoying it the way I used to.
Ayahuasca.
Well,
a lot of people go there for addiction, and it really is like.
I don't think I have addiction.
Well, not addiction, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I am very addicted to wine. Like I love having wine and I, drink it all the time. And it definitely like reframed something in my head when I went there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So do you get in the car the next day? Did you drive yourself or did you take an Uber?
No, I drove, and you're totally fine to drive. They did. Their daughter was doing it with them.
No, but do you have that moment where you get in your car and you're like at the stop sign and everything's changed and you're like, Like, do you remember when you'd come back from Europe and for like a week you'd be like, I'm gonna get a baguette. Is that what ayahuasca is like? Do you remember like you saw the grocery stores
You're
a little
kind of
different?
diminishing it.
No. But like, do you? I'm trying to see. I don't think I've had any experiences like this, so I'm trying to.
It was very intense. It was definitely one of the more. It was definitely, apart from like becoming a mother, it was probably like, it just felt like you were alive in another realm, and it made me feel like there wasn't just one reality, and I think that was. And a good thing for me to see.
Do you have a fear of death?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Well, that's why I'd take it. I have a almost debilitating fear of death. I wouldn't say debilitating, but I wake up thinking about it every morning. And it's something that can shut me every morning. Every morning. I thought about it today. I think especially if I'm living unhealthy, I think about it pretty intensely. But I've been really healthy for the past, month and a half or whatever. So I'm not really like it hasn't, but it's showing up again.
Well, being a comedian is really challenging because we have a pretty unhealthy lifestyle and so much access. All you have to do is mention something on stage and someone will bring it to you. I mean, I know that. I think that's what happened with Greg Giraldo and some other people I knew. And, it's like, even when you're trying to not drink, it's like you have this job where people will ask you 6 times if you want to drink before you go on stage. And you're no, and it's just, what other job is like that, where people are like, are you sure you don't want something? Are you sure?
Stripper, I think.
Right.
I think I really feel like connected to like the late night jobs, like bartenders, waitresses, servers, like chefs. I feel like we all have this really unhealthy lifestyle that always kind of meets up at.
And the access everything's so accessible.
Oh my God.
Sex, I'm sure, like all these guys having to like go, be around these hot waitresses that want to fuck them. That's got to be rough for you boys.
You shocked.
Wait, Bert, can I ask you something?
Please.
I have to leave at 1:45.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm good. I thought it was 1:45. Okay.
No, I'm curious to find out if I'm leaving at 1:30. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Oh, you've got a flight.
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
I thought it said 1:45 and I
no, I haven't changed.
I was like, we're having so much fun.
No.
Okay.
I have, why did you have to pick a kid up?
No, I have something in the valley at 2.
Really?
Yeah.
What, did ayahuasca change the way you looked at your child?
It more helped. And another girl told me this who was on her like 10th time doing it. And she said her family always likes it because she's nicer to them. So it definitely made me have a little more empathy and kindness towards my husband.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's, I hope this comes out right. I am envious. I won't say jealous. That's a bad word, I think, but envious of your relationship because you guys are so funny. Like collectively you're funny when you're together. You guys make me laugh together when you work together, but you're also very independently hilarious people.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's hard working with your partner. Like we do a podcast together and it's like, there's so many things I want to ask him to do that are just like house related. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, then I have to ask him schedule questions. Then I have to ask him, it's just like it sometimes, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to go do ayahuasca again.
Did Moshe think about doing it at all?
He has, but he's thought about it. But
it?
I think it's really hard for sober people to wrap their minds around.
That's the weird thing because it sounds like the lady that has the ayahuasca says it's okay for sober people.
Like, right, but what happens when they want to keep going back?
Oh yeah, because you could just go back over and over again. But it may clear up sober issues.
He
hasn't partied since he was like 15, right?
I know. And I want to tell my kid that. Like, I want to let her know, like, if you wait to drink and do drugs, you can do them like your whole life, like me. Like, I didn't start till I was 30. So I didn't like fuck it up for myself. Whereas like Moshe, he was like dropping acid when he was like in 4th grade or 6th grade and just like looking at designs while the teacher's talking. Like, that doesn't sound like, and then it blows out your brain. The weed probably fucks up your brain development a little bit. I don't know. I got very lucky because I just like, I hooked up with a cool crowd that was all into straight edge. So I always thought drinking was stupid.
Really?
I thought it was like for frat guys. I thought like bongs, beer. Like I didn't even, it didn't really enter my consciousness till I was like in my late 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't a drinker until I got involved with the Russian mafia. I was not a drinker at all.
You're involved with the Russian mafia?
No, you never heard that story? I'll tell you the story.
Are you really?
Yeah, you know that story.
No, Bert, I don't know this. You're in the Russian mafia, but aren't you supposed to not say anything?
No. Not when I got involved. When I went to Russia, when I was 22. You know this story. And I robbed a train. You've never.
What?
Wait. This is so fucking.
What?
This is so good. You're the one person.
What?
Well, you know my nickname, The Machine, right?
No, Bert.
Are you serious? Oh, this is awesome. Sweet. Are you being okay? So yeah. So okay. Hang on. So you know that like I drink a lot, right?
I mean, I gathered that because you said it stopped working.
Okay, no. God, I fucking love you. No, I'm a big. So in 1997, Rolling Stone magazine called me the #1 party animal in the country, and wrote like a 6.5-page article about me.
Interesting. I hadn't started comedy then, so maybe I missed that.
No. It was I hadn't started comedy either.
What were you? What was this based on?
I was just partying. I was partying, and they wanted to write an article about this school, Florida State, and they called down and they reached out to a bunch of people, and everyone said my name, and so the journalist stayed with me for like a week. And we just partied and had a good time. And then he wrote the article about me, and it changed my life. Like Oliver Stone optioned the rights to my life.
What?
I moved to New York to start stand-up. And when I was 26, I moved.
Oliver Stone optioned the rights to your life?
His company, yeah. His company optioned the rights to the article. So it's, in essence, it was my life. And then I moved to New York to start stand-up. And then I started stand-up, and Will Smith read the article. I got a development deal with him.
Whoa.
And that's how I got in the business is this one article kind of changed my life. But I do stand-up for like 10 years, right? I'm 26, 23, 36. By 34, I do Rogan's podcast, and I tell him a story about getting involved with the Russian mafia when I was 22. I got involved with the Russian mafia, and we robbed a train. And this is my favorite moment I've ever had on a podcast, even better than telling it for the first time, is and so I tell the story on Rogan. It gets very popular, and I mean, this is like so surreal for me. It's a very popular story, and it's the reason I have a career. It's this one story. I feel like you're doing a bit right now. It's the story went viral, right?
On Rogan.
I told it on my special.
Okay.
On my show, I did a Showtime special. I told it on my special, and it went viral. It's got like 88 million views on all platforms right now. But it's the #1 thing that if you Google me, the #1 thing you'll see is The Machine. It's my nickname, the Russian Mafia story. So this has got 49 million on Instagram.
Whoa, Bert.
Yeah, and it's got like another.
You're so famous. You have 49 million views of something?
Yeah, and so I posted that 5 years ago. And it kind of changed. It definitely changed my career. I just shot a movie in Serbia for 3 months about this story.
You're not scared of these guys?
No, I don't. I think they're cool. I mean, yeah, this is the trailer. The trailer's got almost 1 million views now.
Wait, hold on. This is a movie that's coming out now?
Yeah.
Are you acting in it?
Yeah, I'm in it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
this looks cool.
Yeah, the trailer's really great, and so
you shot this movie.
I shot the movie already. We shot the whole movie. It's edited.
What's it called?
The Machine. It's my nickname.
Wow.
And so I wouldn't.
Are you playing someone else besides you?
No, I play me. This is me in the movie.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I can see that you're a good actor too. You're
origin
listening.
story. I'm not a good actor.
Well, you look good in it.
Thank you. Thank you. I take that as a huge compliment. You're a fantastic actress.
I did not know any of this. Whoa.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, my point is I'm known as this big drinker because I party with the Russian mob. We partied and this article was written about me and I like to drink. And, but I didn't start drinking until I was like 22. At 21.
That's still pretty young.
It's still pretty young. It's still pretty young. But everyone thinks that like everyone thinks a few things about me. They think I've had sex with a ton of chicks, which I have not. I was not. The party guy isn't normally and I used to say this.
Yeah, because the guys drink too much beer and then just like snore.
Yeah, but I never really even drank that much. It's crazy. I never really. I get fucked up, but I wasn't like a blackout drunk. I was drinking to have a good time, and I always went to bars. Like I'm like a weird dude in that I didn't want to like just have sex with someone. I was hoping to fall in love with people. Like I was hoping someone would understand me and get me, and then we didn't have to go to bars anymore. We could eat pizza and watch movies and like.
That's so cute. You wanted
Leanne. I wanted Leanne. I was looking for Leanne. And but I was so broken by the time I met Leanne that from being a hardcore, just toxic comic dude, like being like, oh, fuck this, fuck that, fuck this. That when I met Leanne, she was like, oh, you're in love with me and you're afraid to figure that out. And I was like, I'm not, whatever. And then she dumped me. I was like, okay, you're right. Okay.
Aww.
Like I had my ayahuasca moment in a closet with a mattress in there watching Fight Club going like, I fucked this up big time. Like this is the best thing I'll ever get. I got to win it back. And so, but I feel lucky. Like when I look at like Bobby Kelly, Moshe, Jim Norton, these guys that all got sober at like 13.
Mm-hmm.
I go, I'm so glad I didn't like, I still don't have I never really had a problem with drugs. Like I can smoke pot if I want, but I also don't need it to like end my day, and I don't need alcohol.
What about to begin your day?
I would. By the way, I almost smoked it the other morning because Rogan was saying he really enjoys it to write, and he's like, "I'll smoke weed. The kids will go to school, and I'll get high, and then sit down and write." And I was like, "Oh, I should do that." But I was like, I already got my hour. I'm filming it next week. I was like, I don't need any new material. The last thing I need is a fucking new idea. I just try to work on the ones I already have. But wait.
Well, I'm very excited that you have this movie coming out. And I did not know that you robbed a train.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Can you get in trouble for this stuff though still? Or you're not worried about that?
I think statutes of limitations run out.
Okay, good.
And it happened in Moscow. And it's
Are you Russian?
Did you say statues of limitation?
Is that was not what it was?
Statute?
Statutes? Is it statutes? Statutes? What is it?
I don't know.
Statues of limitation?
I thought it was statutes.
Statutes?
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah. What does that mean? It means
how many years?
Statutes. Oh, it's not statues? Oh, well, you learn something new every day.
You can no longer sue.
2 years to sue for medical malpractice.
Okay.
That makes sense. If you're still bothered by it for 2 years.
Well, all those Cosby victims got their due, and that happened many, many years ago.
Yeah.
They were able to get, I think they got money, but I'm not sure about that. Well, I think that I would be very, very scared if I were you, but I'm glad that you have such a good relationship with.
I haven't talked to anyone in the Russian mafia in a while, but
44 million views. That's a lot.
I'm sure someone's seen it. I mean, I know that like Russian people definitely have seen it, and Russian people have showed up at my shows. And
so, do I have to watch the video to find out what happened?
No, I get away with it.
You get away with it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't talk bad about the Russian mafia. They were cool dudes. Everyone I met there and they were all like low level dudes, but they were like cool dudes. They were all very nice and my friends. And then these two dudes on the train that were a little sketchy, but you know.
Was it like one of the scariest things you ever did?
Yeah, I mean, in very honestly, I wrote a book too, but mine's not that good. I was very honest with when we were robbing the train. I was terrified. And I was with another dude. There's another dude there. I take him out of the story when I tell it on stage, mostly so I'm sure he doesn't want to be involved in this story. But yeah, I was terrified. And there was no getting away from them. Like, 'cause we were on a train and it was a whole class trip, and I was with these dudes.
A class trip?
Oh, yeah, I robbed my class.
How did you get with the? I'm not letting my daughter leave the country.
No. Oh.
How old were you?
22. I'm sending my daughter to school. I was terrified that because people would, find out who she was and then be like, oh, we're partying with you tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and she luckily finds that type of behavior kind of gross, that like, she doesn't like anything to do with any connective tissue to my career or what I do. And so I feel good about it. Like, they don't really party. I think Georgia probably parties like a little bit with her friends and maybe smokes pot. But to go back to what you were saying, I feel, don't you kind of want, like, have you ever said to Moshe, like, you should have one glass of wine?
No, I don't want to deal with that. The guy has gone from smoking cigarettes to smoking e-cigarettes. He would carry around like all of these little, like this bag of juices and put all the different juices in it. He was like mixing things and like totally addicted. Then he went to toothpicks. Then he went to nicotine gum. And now he puts those little pods up in his.
Oh, yeah. Those are very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried
Zins?
one, not into it. Yeah, Zins. And so he's gone through all of this to
so
try
he's
to.
Still got the addictive brain.
Yes. So I don't think and also he's going to be making up for all this lost time. He's going to want to try a margarita, a Moscow Mule, a Cosmopolitan. He's never had anything.
He never got a margarita.
All he ever drank was strawberry wine from the 7-Eleven. Like, poor kid,
Oh.
So I feel like he loves sugar and sweets. He's going to want to try like every kind of drink, every kind of alcohol. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to encourage sobriety.
Can I ask a private question?
Yes.
Because I know that we call it chasing the dragon in my family. It's or scrolling. It's the energy of where you can't find the end of the bottle of wine, or you can't find the end of a cigar, or you can't find the end of a party.
That's interesting.
And you can't find the end of it on Instagram. You just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it's an empty feeling in life. But it also happens with sex, where I go, like, I would have sex twice a day if Leanne let me, but she doesn't. She doesn't want to have sex twice a day. Does he have that addictive behavior when it comes to sex? Does that show up there, or is it just in? And you don't have to answer, by the way.
Well, I think that's interesting, and if it does, it is. He handles it himself.
Well, because that's
through
a thing.
Jerking off.
That's a thing that they've talked a lot about is dopamine resets. Is people that search for the dopamine so much. It's Andrew Huberman talked about it, and I listened to it. I'm bad at regurgitating information. I'm really bad at taking it in too. But him and I think it was him and Lex Friedman were talking about masturbation is a
reset.
It's dudes that can't get enough dopamine. And it's just them going for dopamine. Then it's not, you don't even get the pleasure anymore. You're just like, I just jerk off because I know that I need to today.
Every day though, isn't that pretty normal? An everyday jerk off sesh for a boy?
No, for a boy, for like a 15-year-old.
No, for a guy, I mean.
No.
Every day now.
No.
Really?
I mean, I don't, but I also live a very like.
You're busy.
Yeah, I have a fucking schedule. I don't know when I could. I mean, my day started.
How are we doing a podcast right now? Don't you have to like leave?
I think I have a private flight that leaves in fucking 21 minutes. And I just got out of my workout.
It leaves in 21 minutes?
Private flights are okay. You can just show up. You don't have to, like, literally all you got to need is the distance from here to Van Nuys Airport.
Okay.
So they're pretty doable. You can go on barefoot, for Christ's sake.
Well, I'm still doing Southwest Group C, so.
They're not, it's not, the only reason I'm doing it is this goddamn snowstorm.
Ah, totally.
And so I'm trying to get to the show. The only reason I ever do them is if the money that I spend on it makes me more money to do the thing.
Because you would probably cancel if you had to.
I'd have to cancel, and cancellations. I'm sure with the weather is going to be fine, but sometimes it can be a little tricky. And then they say, "Hey, I want your next available date," and they put you in to all of a sudden you're doing Billings, Montana, in like just the most weird touring moment. You're like, "Oh, I go to Billings to Ontario to Alaska? What the fuck?" And so It's better just to get the date done with, in my opinion.
Well, I feel like I've learned something because I thought that all men jerked off every day.
No. I mean, I don't, Halston.
Halston, I know I don't know you.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. There we go.
I feel like younger people do for sure. Mine's like to go to sleep. Like it really just puts me to sleep.
Every day,
knocks me
though,
out.
it looks like I feel like I'm getting an everyday vibe
Yeah,
from
you are.
him.
Pete. Pete.
Also, Halston's young.
As
Yeah.
I get older, though, like I'll skip nights.
How old are you? Skip nights.
Skip nights.
Pete.
Yeah.
Private question. Obviously, you don't have to answer this, but we were talking about masturbation.
Okay.
Is it an everyday thing for you?
No, not at all.
Like, how often?
Depends. When we're on the bus, like
Well, that's the other thing is we live on a
we
bus
live on a
together,
bus
so it's
basically touching each other.
yeah. So it's
exactly
I
right.
literally am like,
All right, you're home. It's a pandemic. You're bored. 2 weeks.
yeah. How much did you jerk off during the pandemic?
the first couple weeks a lot. Died down after a while. You get bored of it.
You just got that not that into yourself. You're like,
Yeah.
I've been there, done that.
You're sick of the hand, you know.
Do we have a flight leaving in 20 minutes?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock tonight?
Yeah, we're good.
Private?
Yeah.
Hey!
Everything's all settled. No worries.
Why would-
Dunskies.
7 o'clock sounds way better.
Way better.
'Cause then you can like nap and
And I might have a little wine on this flight. Break my own rule.
do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna treat myself. I don't like the.
Just don't
less.
switch to something stronger.
The last time I threw up was this weekend, and it always happens to me when I have a day where I'm scrolling and I'm looking like it's. I started out playing golf and I had some beers and a cigar, and then we went to go get lunch and everyone made tequila drinks, but they hadn't started drinking. I already had like 4 beers playing golf. And then we went to tequila drinks, and then we got down there and we had a couple tequila drinks there, and then we went back up, and someone's like, who wants to go get groceries? And I'm like, well, shit, if we're getting groceries, let's get some roadies. What do we have? And they're like, we've got vodka. And then I'm like, all right, vodka. And then we get to the store and they're like, fucking, let's open a bottle of wine in the store. Have a bottle of wine in the store. And I was like,
What?
fuck yes. And so,
Bert,
yeah. And then we made
no.
Italian food. And then I switched over to wine. And then all of a sudden,
open a bottle of wine in the grocery store?
it's Trader Joe's. And so,
That's you opened it with like you just did a screw top one
yeah, of course.
and then just started drinking out of the bottle, or did you get like a little sample cup? They were
Little
like,
sample cup. They have coffee. It's Trader Joe's, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, Trader Joe's. They get the little sample coffees.
no one was like, sir, can you not? We don't allow open
be shocked- you'd
beverages
be
in,
shocked
in
if
aisle 4.
You'd be shocked at the high five you get when you're me drinking a bottle of wine after Sober October in a Trader Joe's. Dude's like, the fucking machine. High five.
So you were sober for October.
All of October.
Okay. No weed.
Nothing. No weed, no Xanax, no alcohol, no nothing. And I worked out. It burned 500 calories every day. I did 100 push-ups every day. And yeah, I felt fucking, I gotta be honest with you. When you said I'm looking for my glamour, that's what I was looking for. I couldn't find it. And I didn't know if it was depression or not, because I was like, I've never really had depression. And I feel weird even mentioning depression, because I know there are people that really struggle with depression, and I would never want to minimize their struggle with me just going, you know. But I was calling it my sparkle. I couldn't find my sparkle.
Did you find it after the month
I found it. We were
in Trader Joe's?
in that day. I found it. Like that morning, I woke up. I told my wife. I went,
I'm back.
I think I found my sparkle. And she was like, for real? And I said, oh yeah. She was like,
What was it?
it's just not having any rules and not having, like, I think I'm so bogged down with work. Like my schedules are so overwhelming that everything is down to the minute.
Mhm.
And I think,
You can't get weird or whatever you like to do.
yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes you need, like Segura just did ayahuasca.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he was going through something, I guess, and he wanted to get to the other side of it. His experience was totally different. He does like a 4 seasons ayahuasca.
Was
I
it
don't-
bad or good?
It was great. He loved every minute of it, but it was like 9 different. It was one trip, and they gave him. I don't know if it was ayahuasca or just mushrooms.
Mm.
I don't know what it was. It's ayahuasca, but his story is a little different. But I think there is I think especially I just turned 50, and I think there's a thing you're like, so like, I don't know. What's the thing? What's the razzle dazzle? Where's the flair? I remember the first time I quit drinking for like an extended period. We went to a luau, and I was just like, so this is it. This is life, huh? I remember just being sober to luau, and I was like, and I remember saying to my wife, sobriety is like watching a luau, but them not lighting the stick on fire and just spinning the stick. You're like, it needs to be on fire. And then as I said that, a woman nodded out at our table, and I went, oh, I'm so glad I'm sober.
I know it is hard because especially when you're addicted to fun. Like Bill Burr said in his special, he was sober, and it's like waking up every morning and just having to face life in the face. And that's really challenging.
And he didn't get sober because he had a problem. I mean, he could speak for himself. I would never speak for Bill, but he just was like, I'll give it a shot. And then he was like, I'm good. Like, it's the weirdest reason to quit drinking, in my opinion. But I'm look, he's happy and he's healthy and he's doing great. And, but I never want to quit drinking because I want to be able to see a sunset and be like, yes, I love margaritas. Like, I love margaritas.
Hey, if Moshe comes on the podcast, don't try to talk him into drinking, okay?
I won't.
Seriously, for my family.
I won't.
Respect my family, Bert.
I won't. I definitely won't.
He'd be like, what's a martini? A dirty martini?
Oh, dirty martinis are so fucking good.
He would get so excited. A Manhattan.
If you had to pick one drink for the rest of your life, that you can only have that one drink for the rest of your life. And if you say wine, you've got to pick one wine. I mean, not the brand, but the Pinot.
It would be Sauvignon Blanc because then it's like very light. I don't get a headache.
Blanc. You like white wine?
I prefer red wine, but red wine can sometimes give you a headache.
Have you ever tried Fit Vine?
No. What's that?
You would love it, and you're Italian, and it was meant for you.
Fit Vine?
It is your genetics. It is your genetics. It is basically, it's a wine that was made for CrossFitters, but ultimately what it is, it's a house wine in Italy. So house wines in Italy are pretty cheap, and they're just made, to have a glass of wine with dinner. And so they're lower in sugar, they're lower in tannins, they're lower in sulfites.
And the sulfites and the tannins are what give you a headache, I think.
Yes. And so, but that's why people can drink wine in Italy. And be like, hey, let's have some wine. And then I'm going to go to bed.
How do I get it?
I can actually give you Fit Vine.
Fit Vine? It doesn't sound very Italian. It sounds like an energy drink.
No,
or something.
so it's right here, but it's made for like CrossFitters.
Really?
Technically, it gives you. I'm not technically. I know this personally. Is you don't have a hangover the next day. I can drink a bottle of Fit Vine at night and wake up and bang out a 4-mile run, easy peasy.
Stop.
And so here was my epiphany. So Fit Vine hits the market with the podcast people, and they start, hey, you want to do it? And I think with like most of us, there's a skeptical side of everything. And I try it, and you go, and I think there's a lot of people that are like, I think I know my favorite wines. I like a Francis Ford Coppola or whatever. I start drinking it, and I was like, it's not that bad. And I'm noticing that I'm not getting hungover, but I'm also going like, but I also have a pretty quick resiliency. My turnover rate's pretty good. I go to Serbia, and I go the first night to buy a bottle of wine, and I go to the grocery store, and I can't find a bottle of wine over $7. And I'm like, I am not drinking garbage wine. And they say to us, the lady says, we're not a rich country, so we're not going to have an extensive wine collection. Even in the biggest grocery store you can find, no one's spending $20 on wine, because if they have $20, they're going to spend it on other stuff. Like, no one's spending that on wine. As a matter of fact, a lot of us just make our own wine. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, we make our own wine. And so I get some of these Serbian wines, and they're really good, but I notice I'm not getting any hangover. And they say to us in Serbia, yeah, it's because it's not a super complex wine. Super complex wine sits and it gets tannins and sulfites, and that's the complexity. Oh wow, the oakiness and all that shit that you hear. This wine's just as fucking good, but you get no hangover in Serbia. And so I was drinking a bottle of wine at night in Serbia, getting up the next morning and running 4 miles every day. And I was like, I feel fucking amazing. And then I come back and I do a Fit Vine read, and I'm like, this is the shit they were talking about in Serbia. And then I talked to the Fit Vine guys personally, and they're like, yeah, it's basically It's like Italian house wine. It's like when you go to Italy and you drink wine, you have a great time, and you wake up the next morning, you go, how come I'm not hungover? Is it because I'm on vacation? Like, this is fucking great.
Bert, you've sold me.
I will get you Fit Vine to take home.
I'm excited.
Do you eat edibles?
I mean, I have. Those make me nervous. Oh no, is that rain?
Is that rain? That's so fucking awesome. I love that.
You don't need to drink, Bert. You're like fun.
That's so fucking great. We're great. We get you out of here. We'll leave. We can wrap this. We'll wait till it starts pouring rain. Hey, Pete, can you grab an umbrella?
How long have you lived here?
Since I got back from Serbia, so almost 2 years.
What were you doing
A year?
in Serbia? You were doing stand-up in
I was
Serbia?
doing the movie.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
so cool. So is this like a big thing that's coming out for you? Like you're starring in a movie?
Well, we can't get it to come out. That's why I leaked the trailer on Rogan, because there was just like, I think people were, I think there was a lot of things going on. I won't speak for anyone, but from what I understand, the whole Ukraine-Russian thing, there was a lot of people that I think were a little concerned that this was a movie that maybe would upset people, but it's definitely not. And we played the trailer. No one has said anything online about like the Russian, Serb, anything. So it's kind of, so I think that's good. It's a good feeler. I think I know the studio is very happy, or at least the people I talked to at the studio are very happy that the reception's been kind of through the roof. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Well, no, I'm happy for you. Is this mine, or do you take this back?
You can have it and give it to Leanne.
I'm going to give it to Leanne. By the way, on our honeymoon, this woman came up, and I was very loud on our honeymoon, and I would stand in the water and I would face all the chairs on the beach, and it was like I was doing stand up, but I would just talk. I would talk and I would drink. And this woman comes up to Leanne and goes, "Hey, I just finished this book and I thought Bert might like this." And Leanne goes, "You don't know my husband at all." She goes, "Why?" And she goes, "Bert doesn't read." And she goes, "Well, tell him to read those." But she goes, "Oh, no, not that he doesn't read. Like, he legit doesn't. Like, he's also dyslexic. He won't read." And so she goes, "We'll give it to him anyway." And so this lady gave me a fucking book. She goes, "You might want to read this." And I was like, I don't read. She was like, "Yeah, but you might want to try." So I will give this to Leanne. She will read it.
It's called The World Deserves My Children, and it's comedic essays on different aspects of motherhood. To
my mother, my children, and my children's children. That stuff makes me cry.
Well, because I do feel that, like, we're faced with so much in, like, in environmental catastrophe, and is it right to have kids? And, I think that we can't just let the idiots have kids. You're just going to read it right now?
No. I like this. So what's it like being a mother is first chapter. My childhood, my childless adulthood,
that was a nice 20 years.
Yeah, those are the fucking salad days. 42 and pregnant, freeze your eggs. Not partners, help and free pay. I love that.
Help, free and paid. Sometimes I don't know how your parents or her parents have been, but sometimes the people you think are going to be good with your kids are not, and you have to just hire people.
You want to hear a great story?
Yes.
So we go to Aspen Film Festival or Comedy Festival, and I have a movie that I'm in, or whatever movie that I'm in, that's premiering there. And so we have a big fucking thing. My parents are like, "We should come out. I'd love to support you." Well, okay, so great. My sisters are like, "Well, we want to come out." We're like, "Oh, great. Why don't you guys come out? We'll bring the girls out. We'll meet you go." Big snowstorm hits. We can't land in Aspen. We have to drive from Grand Junction into Colorado. My parents are already there with my sisters. And as we get there, we are, even in telling this, my parents are going to get upset. They'll be like, "Whoa, that's not what happened." I get sick. I get a virus, and I am throwing up the day I get there. I'm throwing up. I feel horrible. I remember the next day I felt a little better, and the premiere was later that afternoon. And so we go, and I'm feeling better enough to go to the premiere, and Georgia throws up on me at the premiere. And I'm like, "Oh gosh." So they grab Georgia. We get her home. That next day, Georgia's sick. That night, Leanne gets sick.
Oh no.
And I wake up the next morning to find out not only is Leanne sick, Georgia's still sick. My parents and my sisters in the middle of the night left. They were like, we don't want to get sick.
I mean, I kind of don't blame them. I'm on your parents' side.
I called my mom, and my mom was crying in the airport. She goes, they made me do it. I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay. My dad just got the phone, and he was like, buddy, we're not getting sick. It's your family. This is what you do. Good luck with your family. And I was also hungover from also being sick and going out in Aspen, and I put belts. I took a belt and put a belt on me. I put a belt on Georgia and a belt on Isla, and I sat in the bed and just
Wait, why did you guys need belts?
Because I didn't want to lose them. I didn't want them. If I fell asleep, I didn't want anyone getting out of the bed.
What?
So I belted us.
What?
I wasn't the best parent, Natasha. I belted us.
How old were the children?
You could figure out. I don't know.
Like toddlers?
I don't know what toddler means, but yeah.
Under 5?
Under 5.
Okay.
Probably like 3 and 5. Maybe
Okay.
3, 4 and 2.
It is funny though, because they all want to come for the glamour and the fun of Aspen, but then the second you're sick, you know.
So that Leanne's gonna love this book.
Well, I'm really excited for her to read it and tell you about it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Is this your real child?
That is, yes, but you can't really see her. Right?
Yeah, no. Why do you? Are you weird? Are you guys weird about? And by the way, I wish I could put the toothpaste back in the tube with that one because
Yeah.
I shared my kids way too much.
Really?
I mean, I didn't. I made Isla definitely famous without asking her. And that was
Is she mad about it?
No, but you can definitely see the side effects. Like they don't trust anyone. Like neither of them. Like Georgia and Isla both. 'Cause I've talked about them on my act. Like some girl came up to Georgia at her new college and was like, "Hey, you're Georgia, right?" And Georgia goes, "No." The girl goes, "Okay, but what dorm you in?" She says, she's like, "Do you know ... Georgia's like, "I do." And she goes, "You're not Georgia?" She goes, "No, why? Who told you?" She was like, "Well, I'm friends with ... And Georgia goes, "Oh yeah, I'm Georgia." And she goes, the girl goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she goes, I don't know. I don't know you. And so, but that energy is, both of them have it. They don't like people knowing them that they don't know.
Yeah, I really struggle with that because now it's like everything I want to talk about so much of my life is children. And then my daughter will be like, "Mom, don't say something that I said." Like if she hears me tell a friend something she said that I thought was funny, she gets really mad. So I'm like, well, this isn't going to age well. Like what, she's going to watch a Netflix special, me like talking shit about her. Like, so I guess I'm going to not do a special and just tour.
Hey, by
so
the
there's
way,
no proof.
Yeah, no, or just do yeah. I mean, I have to run everything by Isla and Georgia now. I got to do for Hey Big Boy. I had to let them know because I talked about Isla getting her period.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a great bit.
Put her through college.
Yeah, it put everyone through college. It's paid for everyone's teeth. Paid for like we're all good.
That's a really hard thing to figure out how to do it. That's something I'm struggling with. So
I would be it's so funny. Immediately my brain goes, I would if me and Leanne were both comics, I'd be like, whoa. I get the Isla material. I get the Georgia material. You got to do your own stuff. Like I don't like I would
be, you're already thinking of fighting over
between you and Moshe. She says something fucking brilliant. Both of you guys like
he can take it and then she'll like me more.
Leanne, it's not a bad. Leanne would call me and go, like the other day, she called me and she goes, "Your daughter said the funniest fucking thing." And I said, "What?" And she goes, and I can say this because I'm not going to put it in a special. She goes, she wants to start an OnlyFans page and post pictures of her feet. That's, and I said, "Do you know what they're going to do with those pictures?" She goes, "Oh, I told her." I said, "Isla, do you know what happens? What people are going to do with those pictures?" And she goes, "Mom, once I've gotten their money, I don't give a shit what they do with those pictures." And I was like, congratulations on the book.
Thank you, Bert. I'll never write another one. So
I will never write another one. It sucked. So, and by the way, your husband's book, Casher in the Rye,
is great.
Is amazing. And from what I read, I gave it to Leanne. She loved it. But I started reading it and I was like, oh, he's like Patton. He's like a legit writer.
No, he's a really great writer. And yeah. I enjoyed writing it eventually, but it was just a very, very hard and much different than doing stand-up and not as enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's a very solo activity.
It's very, and it's the tax of like, hey, just so you know, we need 100 pages by Wednesday. You're like,
I don't know if you can tell, but this is kind of light. This was like
I wish I had my book. You could see what light looked like.
this was like as much as it was definitely on the light side.
Did
But
you-
I'm like, who cares if it's like 20 pages shorter than like what
Can I
they
tell you
want?
the mistake I made? I wish I could go back
Bigger
and put
font?
pictures.
Oh yeah, pictures would have been good. But pictures were hard because they wanted like the actual, first generation picture of something. I don't know how to get those.
Night nurses cost about $10 to $20 more than a regular nanny. So I had to beg my husband to be on board.
Oh, you're just like, oh, that's a cute way of reading. Just kind of open it up and
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it on stage tonight at Largo. So maybe
Are you really?
Maybe I'll just do what you did. Just like open it up to a random
Yeah,
thing.
that's like my wife when she tells a story. It's like she has no point to it. She just starts reading.
Well,
So when I see my husband late night scrolling for RVs for sale, I get nervous. We have two, although I've late. I wish, you know what? Can I tell you? I want to do. Sam Talent did something very interesting where he had other people read chapters of his book for him.
oh, that's cool.
My book did phenomenal on the audiobook sales, like top 10 for 2 years, I think. I never saw any money of it. I got a shitty deal. I got like $3,000 to do an audiobook, but I'm a bad out loud reader. So, and they left it in, the fucking editor left all of it in, and it was hilarious.
Your mistakes?
Yes.
Why did they
It
leave
was,
it in?
Because the guy couldn't stop laughing, and he was like, I think this is a much better book this way. And he gave it to the things. I didn't
Like,
know
what
any
kind
it.
of things would you say? You'd be like, oh, fuck, not that.
No, I'd be like, I would be reading, and then I'd be like, is it fucking hot in here? I'm hot as shit. I'm like, I'm gonna take my pants off. Are you cool with me being in my underwear?
Stop
And,
it.
and you'd be like, yeah, it's all left in. And at one point, when I get to the end, it took me 25 hours to read through a 5-hour book. It was a 5-hour audiobook, and it took me 25 hours to read it. And he left his favorite things of me losing my shit.
That is so funny.
And it's me mispronouncing words. And then at one point I go, who the fuck wrote this thing? And the guy goes, you did. You should be able to read it a lot better. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Congratulations, Natasha.
Thank you, Bert, and thank you for being so supportive.
Oh, always. I absolutely adore you and Moshe. Like I said, I'm envious. You guys have such a cool energy between the two of you. And I think I've thought this since the first time I ever met you. You've always been very, very kind to me when people didn't need to be.
When people were seeing past you.
You did not. You were actually, your energy was hilarious. You're like, you're my brother's favorite comic. I'm not really sure why.
I said that.
And I go, and then I think I followed with, do you know I have a lot of friends that got raped? And you were like, I think that's just you. It was the same conversation.
Well, I'm glad that you remember that.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I do. Yeah, well, when people are nice to you and they don't have to be, that sticks with you forever. And and I remember just no one had a bad word about you. And I was like, oh, she's so pretty and she's so funny. And then
I don't know. You
very
are friends
kind.
with Ari.
No, not then. Not then. Not then. Not then. And not for a period of time in between.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm so happy for you.
Oh, it's my wife. I'm wrapping up a podcast with Natasha Leggero. She wrote a great book
Hi,
called
Leanne.
The World Deserves My Children. And
Amazing.
yes.
Will you read it to your husband?
And she was wondering if you'd read it out loud to me.
Somebody's going to have to, right? Hi, Natasha.
I feel closer to you after this conversation with Bert because he has so many sweet things to say about
Yeah,
you.
like you look better with a thin, old face.
No. He was saying you look better now than you did like 20 years ago.
Oh, that's just because he's in love with me.
Yeah.
Aw.
He's a very sweet man.
All right, we're wrapping up the podcast. So I'll call you back later. I love you.
All right, love you too. Bye.
Bye.
You're lucky.
I am the luckiest person you'll ever meet in the fucking world. Put that on my tombstone and say it at my fucking funeral. They got him. They finally got him. Congrats.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.